Gartner has obviously got a quadrant for all things, and they have looked at the top cloud providers. And the top cloud providers are obviously AWS, Google, as well as Azure. So they are in the top right-hand quadrant. That means they have the completeness of vision and they have the ability to execute. That's not to say that the other providers aren't there, but these are the top three as per Gartner. And it's interesting because AWS was there, the first mover, so they came in first. The others have really caught up afterwards. So, it's interesting to see how Google has made so many leaps and strides. And given that Karen's here in the presentation, I thought I might just ask her at this point in time and say, Karen, how have Google done this? How have they come in this top right-hand quadrant of Gartner?
Yeah, thanks, Rashu, for bringing me in. A great question. And essentially, we went to the market at the earliest time. We weren't in the market about a decade ago when it came to Google Cloud, but where we've really shown our differentiation is in the spaces of hybrid and multi-cloud. We have a really strong narrative in that space, and especially around data and machine learning. That essentially is in our DNA and really sets us apart from all the other platforms. And in terms of the vision of where Google Cloud is going, currently we have 73 zones, over 144 points of presence across more than 50 countries worldwide. So we're constantly investing into our own infrastructure, expanding our network, our subsea cables. And actually our CEO, Thomas Kurian, announced last year that we were embarking on a $20 billion 5-year investment plan. So massive investment globally on our infrastructure and network, as you can see. And the biggest thing is we're actually tripling our sales and engineering teams. So massively, investing in our people, investing in our teams locally. And I can just share my personal experience being at Google for over 4 years now. When I joined, there was probably 40 people for Australia and New Zealand, which was then G Suite, now Workspace. And now we have, just shy of 400 people. So it's 10x over the last kind of few years. And that's really happened over the last year or two. So it's really exciting to see that growth and that presence in the market. And just the feedback from our customers has been really exciting to hear as well.
That's fantastic. So look, as we discussed, right? So AWS had the first mover advantage. It's probably the most popular at the moment. Azure is very strong due to the Microsoft Office suite. Now, whether you're using OneDrive or Teams, they're all linked into Azure. So you automatically end up getting Azure. So Google platform, we spoke about a little bit. It had the strongest growth rate, very strong analytics and machine learning. And even strong on latency as well. So I might just touch on a couple of those things before I pass on to Karen further down this track. Also probably want to mention that, look, Alibaba also has a cloud offering, cloud provider, and because they're very popular in China. And the last one being IBM as well. So it's, you got to note it because, again, IBM, like Microsoft, has a few of its own products, and they're also a SaaS offering. So anyway, just as a generic overview. So what I want to highlight is that, look, there is an interesting thing about customizing and pricing, and not all the top three cloud providers are the same. They're definitely not the same. So for example, if you look at the lowest offering of saying, look, give me just one virtual machine, which has a couple of CPUs and a bit of RAM. And if you looked at that lowest level offering, which is the same in all three, it comes out to be that Google is 25% cheaper, whereas AWS and Azure are similar priced. So that is interesting in itself. And when you want to go the highest end, they are slightly different priced. But at the highest end, if you wanted the maximum number of CPUs, Google can offer that. So the customizing bit is interesting. Not everyone offers so much customizing. They say this is what you get, but some provide more than others. And I thought I'd just highlight that just to say that not all providers are the same. They are different, right? So we'll talk a little bit more about the latency. And look, the reason I want to talk about latency is because it's kind of very important. And I'm sure everyone understands this, but latency is how long packets take to go between machines. And the faster latency, the lesser problems you're going to see in your actual application performance. And it becomes quite important when you have data centers in different areas. You're talking to, whether they're machines in one data center or across data centers. And GCP had the best one. And I didn't put the numbers up there, but AWS, I think 20 to 25 per second, whereas GCP had the highest one. Azure was even lower. So again, these are studies done. I haven't done them personally. I mean, this is so you can all refer to the reference sites I've got there, and you can check them out. So they're all publicly available. But it is interesting to know that latency is quite good as well. So it's interesting. But yes, AWS was the most consistent. So that's the other side of the thing, right? But they have a slightly lower one. So anyway, that's